In order to appease the Umang Lai deities of the traditional Meitei religion, Sanamohism, which is primarily practiced in the Indian state of Manipur, the Meitei people celebrate Lai Haraoba, also known as Umang Lai Haraoba, a classical ritualistic, theatrical dance and music festival every year. It is an intangible cultural treasure of the Meitei. In addition to Manipur, Meitei inhabited areas like Assam, Tripura, Bangladesh, and Myanmar also celebrate Lai Haraoba. The Tripuran government recognizes Lai Haraoba, also known as Meitei Lai Haraoba, as one of the state holidays. The Manipur government works to have Lai Haraoba recognized by both the Sungit Natak Academy, SNA, the top academy, and UNESCO. Among India's performing arts, included on the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity representative list, Sungit Natak Academy recognized Indian classical dance, commonly referred to as Manipuri dance, originated from Lai Haraoba and the combination of three other performance arts, Huyen Lalong, Meitei Nada Sankirtana, and Raslila. Lai Haraoba is translated by Elungbum Nilakanta Singh as the merry making of the gods and goddesses, a meaning that is used by many others. Based on J. Shakespeare's 1913 translation, Saroj Nalini Parrot and John Parrot interpret it as pleasing of the gods, but they make it plural because the celebration celebrates several gods. Ritualists claim that the name derives from the Meitei creation myths, Lai Hoi Lauba, or Hoi, which denotes the revelation of the universe. Ing. Kulakandra, the former leader of the Manipur Pundit Loisang, came up with this concept. The Meiteis have celebrated Lai Haraoba as a ritualistic holiday since ancient times. The creation tale is enacted ritualistically. It illustrates the strong bonds between the hill and plain people and reflects Manipur's complete culture. It is a blend of ancient cultural elements, including music and dance, religious recitations, and traditional social norms. The festival's rites remain the same, with the exception of a few things or hymns, including Maikon Thagamba, Gapram Tamba at the end, and Ikuba, Ikural, and Yakarol at the start. The evolution tale of Nampak Nighthow and Panthoibi's passionate love affair is shown and performed equally in all forms of Lai Haraoba in the performances. In order for their offspring to emulate them by carrying out the same rites, the gods reportedly hosted the first Lai Haraoba on the Kobru Hill. The Umang Lai deities, which are significant to the old Meitei faith, are honored in local shrines when Lai Haraoba is held. The festival takes place between February and May or June. However, it has no set dates. Every shrine selects its own festival dates. Depending on the shrine, the celebration may run anywhere from 3 days to more than a month. Each shrine may have a varied celebration schedule and duration. Named for the Umang Lai deities celebrated throughout the festival, the Lai Haraoba is also known as the Umang Lai Haraoba. The locations of the shrines are thought to be protected by these deities. The entire community participates in the preparations for the celebration, which is held at these shrines. More than 300 deities, including ancestors, mythical predecessors, and other significant gods in the traditional Meitei religion, Sanamohism, are part of the Umang Lai group. Laningtha and Larimbi/Larima are two male and female deities honored in Lai Haraoba rites. The focus of the ceremonies is creativity. According to the Meitei, the universe was created by the all-powerful God. He goes by the names Atia Sadaba, Taibang Pamba Mapu, and Tingbamba Mapu. While some creation myths begin with these deities, others trace their origins back to a Tingkok and Amamba. Amamba is the gloomy starting point of life. Konglei Haraoba, Moirong Haraoba, Kukshing Haraoba, and Chakba Haraoba are the four forms of Lai Haraoba that are most common in Meitei society. Impal and the surrounding towns are the primary locations for Konglei Haraoba performances. Only Moirong celebrates Haraoba, Kukshing celebrates Haraoba, and Andro, Phayang, Sekmai, Kutrik, Kukhul, Limaram, and Tarampakpi celebrate Chakba. Number 1. Konglei Haraoba. Konglei Haraoba, which is observed in and around Impal, is one kind of Lai Haraoba. Kangla, located in the heart of Impal, is whence the term Konglei originates. Pakangba is the primary deity worshipped. The festival's unique feature is when the goddess Karithaba searches for a bride. Karithaba's soul is summoned by a Maibi, or spirit medium, to select the bride. The Nanga roll, which symbolizes the emergence of the holy presence, marks the festival's conclusion. Number 2. Moerong Haraoba. Kamba Thoibi traditional dance performance in Lai Haraoba in and around the Moerong area in the southern Impol Valley. People celebrate Moerong Haraoba. Tangjing is the primary deity worshipped. In this variation, Laisang, another evergreen plant, is provided in addition to Langthrii leaves, which are a regular offering in the Konglei variant. The Kamba Thoibi traditional dance is a unique feature of this celebration. Thingtharal, a song of grief, which signifies the ascent of the gods, concludes the event. Number 3. Chakba Haraoba. Chakba Haraoba is a collection of variations of the event that are observed by Chakba communities in various villages rather than a distinct kind. The structure is less complicated, and the hand motions are simpler. It involves acts of sacrifice. The primary versions come from the villages of Andro, Impol East, and Phayang. Numit Kappa, which means shooting of the sun, is a unique rite practiced in Andro. Certain rites, such as Lai Fajai Tanaba, are unique to the Phayang tradition and cannot be performed elsewhere. Number 4. Kukching Haraoba. East of Impol, in the Kukching region, people celebrate Kukching Haraoba. The final day of the celebration is dedicated to the Ngapram Tamba ceremony, which involves hunting eels. Whether it should be a distinct kind of event is a topic of debate. While some believe it should be under Chakba Haraoba, others believe it should be under Konglei. According to Dr. K.H. Ratankumar Singh, it is a distinct kind. Nonetheless, every shrine frequently has distinctive customs of its own. Special persons lead the Lai Haraoba rituals. 3 ancient customs exist. Ashiba, Maiba, and Meibi are the 3 traditions. The Pena, a musical instrument, is used to play music with a unique violin. Men are the only ones who can follow Ashiba and Maiba. The practice of Meibi, which involves communicating with spirits, is restricted to women. The ceremonies of Lai Haraoba are intricate and encompass a wide range of topics. They fall into 3 categories. The beginning, middle, and end are these sections. Lai Ikaba, Haraoba, and Leroy are the names of the separate sections. The descent of the god, Lion Meitei, is commemorated by the Lai Ikaba. The rise is marked by the Leroy. There is a similar pattern in the days that follow. The interval between days may vary. As a result, the festival may run for 3 days or more than 3 weeks. Number 1. Lai Ikaba. Bringing a sacred presence inside the shrine during the festival is the main goal of the Lai Ikaba ceremonies. The shrine's doors, which are typically closed throughout the year, are opened prior to the ceremonies. This phenomenon is known as Lai Thong Hangba, which translates to opening of the shrine doors. It takes place on an auspicious day prior to the Ikaba ceremonies. Sacred objects and images are prepared, and the shrine is cleansed after opening. The sacred icons are removed, the utensils are cleaned, and the ceremonial clothing is washed. Making rice beer for the occasion is one example of how preparations can sometimes start even before the shrine opens. Special songs and rituals are used during this process. Water is used to bring the sacred presence during the Ikaba ceremony. This is carried out at a river or pond. From the shrine to the water, there is a procession. Offerings are made and gods are invoked there. The ceremony is carried out by a Meibi who rings bells and chants. It's possible for the Meibi to enter a trance and communicate with the spirits. During this time, the holy items come to life. The items are then put in their proper locations as the procession makes its way back to the temple. The Neo Samba ceremony, the Pena, musical instrument. Fiddler plays music and sings to put the gods to sleep for the night. Today is the festival's opening day. Number 2, Haraoba, Yakiba, or the awakening rite, begins the second day. In order to awaken the deity, the Pena fiddle player plays in the morning. Rituals such as bathing, Iru Sadengba, and expelling negative energy, and Kakpa, are performed. As offerings, they bring fruits, grains, rice, flowers, candles, and incense. Offerings are made, and the morning prayers are said. The evening is when the primary ritual takes place. Dance and music have a significant role. They are a part of the ceremony, not merely for show. Offering flowers is the first activity of the evening, known as Lei Langba. This is done by the person in charge of the flowers or their assistant. Before beginning the Thaugal Jaguar dance, the Maibis pay their respects. Honoring the Lai and preparing for the day's work are two goals of this dance. The dance's tunes honor the deity. Everyone in the community is welcome to partake in the dance, which is led by the Maibis. The Laibu portion of the ceremony begins after the dance. Number 3. Laibu. The focal point of the Lai Haraoba is the Laibu rites. Prior to this, sacred langfrei leaves and a banana leaf are positioned in the middle of the space along with a little offering. The sacred presence is then brought into the room by the Maibis dancing. Laishing Jaguar is the name of this dance, which translates to the dance to draw out the deities. There is no singing throughout the dance, just the sound of the Pena, a musical instrument, fiddle. Following the dance, everyone joins in the song, Hoi Lauba, by shouting Hoi together. They take their cues from the Maiba. While the singing technique is distinct from other ceremonial songs, it is comparable to the closing song, Wakal Lauba, known as antiphonal songs. This type of singing is distinct from other ritual songs. A procession circles the performance space as the Laibu ceremonies are carried out. Building a dwelling, weaving, farming, birth, and the construction of the human body are all represented by the rites. To honor the 4 directions and their deities, the procession, led by the Meibi, begins in front of the shrine and travels around the neighborhood. The body's creation marks the start of the dance. In order to demonstrate how each body part is constructed, the Meibi dances, marking the soles of the feet, cutting the eyes, and drawing the brows. After that, the infant is born and given care. Clothing is required when the youngster gets older. Cotton is grown on the hillside and then processed and woven to make clothing. A house is constructed to protect the infant, with the walls plastered with mud and frames erected. The child goes fishing when they get older, which represents bodily urges. There are overt allusions to culture and daily life throughout this ceremony. The Padon Jaguar come after the Laibu. This involves the Maibis dancing in a serpentine fashion in the performance area while forming a line under the direction of the senior Meibi. The fibble, a ball of fabric, and the Fijang, a piece of white cloth supported by 4 poles, are the focal points of a subsequent set of rituals. Together, these 4 poles create a ceremonial banner and umbrella. The poles hold the cloth in its 4 corners. Under the fabric, 2 Maibis move and dance around the poles, each clutching a precious relic. The cloth is collected and brought back to the shrine following the ceremonies. It is occasionally referred to as a component of the canopy cycle. The participants create Lyran Mathek Chatpa, or serpentine designs, as the day comes to a close. The Wakal song is then sung, and the holy items are returned to the shrine. The Pena plays a lullaby known as Neo Samba to lull the gods to sleep. Only on specific days are some rituals performed. One is the Saroi Kangba, in which lesser spirits are fed. Another is the Konglei Thakba, which is the name given to the spirit of the god Karifaba. Another name for this is Lai Nupi Thaiba, which translates to search for the bride. The Lai Lam Thakba street parade, which takes place outside with a large celebration and plenty of people, is a more conspicuous ceremony. The celebration comes to a close on the final day with the Leroy ceremonies. Closing the Lai Haraoba, holy time and space, is the main goal of these rituals. A Meibi at each of the 4 corners performs Tang Jaguar, a dance with swords, as part of a ritual to drive off negative energy. Lataba, also known as Tankol Nurabi, is another rite that involves 2 significant legendary characters. Lataba consists of chants, myths, comedy, and some improvisation, much like a skit. Kincho Chongba, Sharat Litpa, the Wai Mi Kanba, and Ugri Hanjel are other concluding rites. The Lai Nangaba ceremony signifies the divine presence's departure and return to the other dimension. For this voyage, a boat is designed. The Haijing Hero songs tell of building the boat, whereas the Yuyural songs tell of the tree being felled. The Nangarol hymn concludes the ceremony, while the Higa Ishii hymn marks the ascension. On the same night that they return to the shrine, the sacred objects and pictures utilized in the ceremony are disassembled. The doors of the shrine are locked for 5 days, and a Lehan offering of Langfrei leaves is made. The Meibi returns on the 5th day to take down the offering and make a fresh one. The Leroy ceremonies come to a close with this last ceremony. Known as Lehun Tamba. One well-known folk tune that is mostly performed at Lai Haraoba is Lai Haraoba Ishiai. The lyrics of this song make subtle allusions to erotic mysticism. The song's rhythm is its primary characteristic. The day following the Leroy, the final day of ceremonies, was dedicated to sporting events at Lai Haraoba. Numerous traditional Meitei sports and games were played at these gatherings. Ubi Lakbi, a traditional Meitei rugby game played with oiled bodies in a slippery coconut, was one of the games. Kong Kangiai, a traditional Meitei hockey game, was another. A traditional Meitei tug-of-war called Doyuri Chingaba. The Manipuri Ras Lila, one of India's traditional dances, was inspired by the dance forms of Lai Haraoba and contributed to the development of the Manipuri dance style. Both inside and outside of Manipur, the emphasis on dance has influenced how people view and discuss Lai Haraoba. However, Lai Haraoba encompasses more than only religion, dance, or music. It is a significant aspect of the culture and has aided the Meitei people in fortifying their sense of self, particularly with regard to Hindu culture. The event and its customs reflect the ideals and worldview of the Meitei. Their material culture is also reflected in it.